Supreme Court has decided that it will, in fact, hear the case involving Trump claiming that presidential immunity prevents him from being prosecuted by special counsel Jack Smith in the election interference case. Now, this is a big win for Trump already, and I'll explain why. Steve Vladek, who is a CNN Supreme Court analyst and also a professor at the University of Texas School of Law, has an interesting theory. He says that the surprise is that it took the court the better part of 2 weeks to reach this result from which no justice has publicly dissented, meaning it does appear, at least for now, that unanimously these judges, Supreme Court justices, I should say, wanted to hear this case. The justices couldn't reach consensus on a way to resolve the matter without giving it full briefing and argument. So they're not gonna rush this. They've decided to really hear Trump out on this. And so this is the way they intend to go forward. It's hard to read any tea leaves into whether that makes the court more likely to side with former President Trump when it finally resolves this immunity claim, but it certainly means that even in the worst case scenario for Trump, the January 6th prosecution will be delayed for at least another 3 to 5 months. That's a pretty big win for Trump, even if he ends up losing this case.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I gotta tell you guys, the mainstream liberal media, they are upset. They are currently fuming, okay? They are pissed off, okay? They're pissed off because the Supreme Court is ruining their hopes and dreams when it comes to Trump being tried and convicted for crimes, aka the political persecution, that the Democrats are going after him for when it comes to January 6th. Now, again, this is a big deal, what we're about to talk about here, because it seems like the Fani Willis case out in Atlanta, Fulton County, that is about to completely fall apart, okay? Pending this ruling from the judge on Friday about whether or not she is disqualified because of her relationship with Mr. Nathan Wade, who she hired to be a special prosecutor in the Trump RICO case, and whether or not she has some type of conflict of interest. It seems as if that could be 50-50. We have no idea exactly how they're going to rule, but at the very least, this is pushing back the start of that case. Maybe, just maybe, if he rules in favor of the Trump defense team, then the Fani Willis case will get dropped altogether, or it will get pushed back to after the election. Now, when it comes to the Jack Smith case, in regards to the January 6th charges, the Supreme Court of the United States of America is also seemingly trying to push that back as well, too, until after the election, because they are slow walking the ruling in regards to whether or not Trump has presidential immunity. Now, again, this is a big deal because the left, their whole goal is to try to get Trump tried and convicted on something before the election to try to affect the outcome of the election. This is what they're trying to do. And the Supreme Court is saying, no. We're not going to just allow you to overthrow democracy, overthrow our republic by trying to swing the outcome of the election with these politically motivated persecutions. And it just so happens that the Supreme Court came out today and said, you know what, we're going to hear this immunity case. However, we're going to take our time with it, okay? We're going to listen to Trump's arguments, okay? We're going to basically slow roll this as much as we can when they had the option of basically going with the lower court rulings and declaring that, hey, Trump is not immune to these charges. But instead, no, they're actually taking the slowest possible route, which basically guarantees that the trial will take place after the election. In the mainstream liberal media, they are currently losing their minds over this. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Have you guys taken a good look at the banks lately? Now, on the surface, everything may seem fine, but there's a whole lot more going on underneath. It's like looking under the hood of a car and finding a mess of broken wires and parts. The parts are loans for homes, cars, and the credit cards that we use. They're all hitting record highs. It's really scary when you think about it. Why risk your money for a tiny 5% when things are so shaky. This is where Noble Gold can help. They're like that friend that knows all about how to keep money safe. They suggest gold and silver, oldies but goodies in the finance world. Plus, they've got a sweet deal, a 1/4 ounce gold standard coin this month if you qualify. That sounds pretty cool, right? If you're curious, just give them a call at 877-646-5347. That is 877-646-5347. And don't worry, it's just a chat, no pressure. They will help you figure out if gold and silver are right for you. Or you can visit noblegoldinvestments.com and take the first step towards a safer, more secure financial future. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
It's unimaginable to me that the Supreme Court will decide this case before the last day of the term, which typically is around July 1st. If that's true, then it's equally unimaginable to me that the former president will be tried before the election in November.
That's shocking.
I think that, we don't know, but against my belief that the court would not take the case, I infer that there must be some dissent on the court by some number of the justices on the question of whether this president has absolute immunity for the particular offenses against the United States with which he's been charged by Jack Smith.
Ari, remember how, let's say, all of 2022, I came on your program and I screamed and I tore my hair out over how Merrick Garland was moving too slowly to hold Trump accountable before the next election? This is why, because you have to understand what the Supreme Court is really about. I know you like to give your viewers context, so have this on for some context about what the Supreme Court is really up to. Trump was kicked off of the Colorado ballot, right? And around December 20th last year, the Supreme Court spooled up that case and heard that hearing within 45 days on February 8th, all right? Trump was appealed his immunity, Judge Chutkan's immunity ruling, also in the middle of December. Andrew Weissman just pointed out, Jack Smith asked the Supreme Court to hear the case on December 14th. By the time we get to April 22nd, it will be 130 days since they were asked to hear the appeal. So it's 45 days when a ruling could hurt Trump, but 130 days when the delay can help Trump. That is the essence of this Supreme Court. And every single Democrat who is not on board for expanding the Supreme Court and reducing the power of these Republican theocrats in robes is in some way complicit in today's failure.
Excellent numerical, factual context.
Yeah, they're panicking, right? They're panicking because the Supreme Court is the last institution with some integrity in our republic, okay? Or so it seems, okay? And they really don't like that, okay? They want the Supreme Court to participate in their efforts to overthrow our republic because that's essentially what they're doing. And while the criminal trials may be on hold, the Democrats aren't giving up because they never give up when it comes to going after their political opponents. As there have been 31 states where there's been a lawsuit filed to attempt to remove Trump from the ballot. And now we have another state where it's actually been successful, okay? As we got to talk about Illinois, a woke judge decided to remove Trump from the state ballot in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision about whether or not states can even do this in the first place. So just so you guys know who we're dealing with here, we're dealing with another woke activist by the name of Miss Tracy Porter, who appears to be a woke black woman, right? Even though she appears to be a little colonized like Joy Reid, okay? She seems to be colonized. But you know how they go, right? You know how these woke revolutionaries are. She decided that, hey, I'm going to remove Trump from the ballot because of the insurrectionist ban, okay? And I want to react to CNN's reaction of this because this is basically a non-story, right? To be quite honest with you. I mean, they're playing it up like it's a big deal, but it's really not, because the judge immediately stated decision because she knows that Trump is going to appeal. And everybody knows that Trump is going to win his case with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is probably going to rule in favor of Trump in this case. And they're also not wasting their time slow walking it. They're actually being fast on it, unlike what they're doing with the Jack Smith case, which is hilarious to think about. So, again, the Supreme Court doing God's work, right? And pissing off Democrats. I love it.
All right, more breaking news. An Illinois judge has just ruled that Donald Trump should be kicked off the ballot in the state. The judge there in Illinois writing that Trump is not eligible to be on the ballot because of his actions on January 6th. That makes Illinois the third state, along with Colorado and Maine, to use the 14th Amendment's insurrection ban to remove Trump from the ballot. Of course, that 14th Amendment case in Colorado is in front of the Supreme Court as I speak, waiting for a decision. Caitlin Polans is out front with more on this breaking news. And Caitlin, the thing about Illinois is we're sitting here talking about a major decision on immunity from the Supreme Court. And out of left field comes this ruling from Illinois. This is a surprise move. What is the Illinois judge saying?
Well, what is the goal here? Well, the goal really is to get Trump to spend more money, right? They know that the Supreme Court is not going to go along with their Looney Tunes argument. Trump hasn't been charged with the act of insurrection. Again, there's no merit to this, okay? They're literally trying to drain Trump of resources, right? This is what they're doing. They're attacking Trump from all fronts. You have the criminal front, you have the reputation front when it comes to the Me Too allegations, and then you have the financial front, okay? And, part of the financial front is just not his personal business assets, which they're going after that, but also his campaign assets, okay, which is what these Soros-funded lawsuits are about. They're about draining Trump of campaign resources so that he has to spend money fighting all these lawsuits instead of using the money to fight Joe Biden, right? That's essentially what's happening here, guys.
It is. This is about Donald Trump and his ability to be on the ballot as a candidate because of what he did in the 2020 election, after that election, and on January 6th. This judge in Cook County, Illinois, is writing quite clearly her decision here that the Illinois State Board of Election shall remove Donald J. Trump from the ballot for the general primary election on March 19th, upcoming in a couple weeks, or cause any votes cast for him to be suppressed. Now, there's some things in this decision today that are going to put that on hold initially, but Aaron, it's quite a clear decision, and this decision from Illinois, it hops on board of what the Colorado Supreme Court has already done and said. That case that now is up at the U.S. Supreme Court, where Colorado was that state through the court system, looked at the evidence around January 6th and deemed Donald Trump to be an insurrectionist and someone ineligible to be on the ballot for president. Illinois says exactly the same thing here.
Okay, so now Illinois coming, and as I said, in a surprise move saying this, as the broader question about the 14th Amendment's in front of the Supreme Court. So what does this mean for that? What happens next, Caitlin?
Aaron, Donald Trump's team is going to need to move quickly to appeal. That is the first thing that's laid out here. They have 2 days, according to this order, to get everything paused, having him removed from the ballot or having votes in the March 19th primary not counted for him. So they got to go to the appeals court in Illinois for 2 days. The state is going to continue to look at it. And then so much is at stake at the U.S. Supreme Court. They already are looking at what Colorado did to remove him from the ballot, how that could also affect the third state that has removed Trump from the ballot, Maine. That wasn't in a judicial proceeding. That was by the people who oversee the elections there. But the U.S. Supreme Court is ultimately going to have to come down on, is this something that states even can do in their primary elections? And would someone like Donald Trump potentially qualify? Is the office of the presidency something that is applicable when you're looking at the insurrectionist clause of the U.S. Constitution? So
no, and it's not applicable when it comes to the states, okay, and whether or not the states can actually do that. We already have a mechanism for disqualifying the president of the United States. It's called impeachment, right? If Trump was guilty, then he would have been found guilty in the Senate trial. He wasn't. They could have convicted him in the Senate, and they could have barred him from running for office, right? We already have a mechanism through the federal government who has historically handled these types of questions, right? This is a federal government problem, right? This is the job of the legislator to deal with these type of issues. we already know how to do this, right? The states are clearly overstepping their authority here. Again, it's not even a question, right? It's not really even a question. Again, the goal is to try to make Trump spend money. Okay, this judge is going to get a lot of praise. Okay, she's going to get some kickbacks from Democrats. But she knows that this has no chance of standing. It's just literally a move to try to force Trump to spend money. That's it.
All of that is at stake here. In this decision, it's not on hold, waiting for the U.S. Supreme Court to rule. So if they take a very long time and the Illinois state courts say, no, he can be removed from the ballot, then that may be it as far as their primary goes. But there is going to be all eyes on the Supreme Court and what they do and how quickly they do it, too. Aaron?
Yeah, so they're basically forcing the Supreme Court to move quickly on it, right? That's what they're doing. They're saying, well, you guys need to rule now, right? Or else, we're going to ban this guy from the ballot, okay? So that's essentially what's happening.
All right. Thank you very much, Caitlin. I appreciate it. With all of this breaking developments, I want to go now to Eric Swalwell, Democratic congressman, of course, from the state of California. Congressman, this decision first here that just came out of Illinois was completely unexpected today. So now you've got 3 states banning Trump from being on the ballot. The Colorado case is in front of the Supreme Court. They have yet to make a decision. Are you surprised to hear this decision from the judge in Illinois?
Well, knowing the facts of the case, Aaron, and having been on the floor when Donald Trump incited and aimed the mob that paused the counting of the vote and led to the violence, I'm not surprised that a judge would find that he's disqualified because he committed insurrection, which, of course, the Constitution says if you do that, you can't be on the ballot. Aaron, I don't know if your viewers know this, but I was the only member who testified in the Colorado case. And I did that a little bit reluctantly because I'm competitive and I want to beat Donald Trump and the idea of MAGA, and I want to do that this November because I think doing that is the best reset we can have for democracy. But a plain reading of the Constitution suggests that if you commit insurrection, and it seems pretty clear that he did, that you can't be on the ballot. And so I look forward to our Supreme Court resolving it, and however they decide, I will accept that, and we'll move to November.
Listen to this clown trying to play both sides, right? He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Out of one side of his mouth, he's saying, well, the best way to beat Trump is at the ballot, right? This is what I really want to do. But I was reluctant to testify at the Colorado hearing because I really want to beat Trump at the ballot. Well, if that's the case, then why'd you testify for? Again, this guy's a clown, right? This guy's a clown. I don't even know why they're interviewing him, okay? They shouldn't be asking this man questions about anything except whether or not he ate that shrimp fried rice from Fang Fang, the Chinese spy that he allegedly bang, right? That's the only thing that anybody should be asking Eric Swalwell. Okay? Did he put some white sauce in that shrimp fried rice, right? That's the only question that the mainstream liberal media should be asking this guy. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.